All right, so get ready because today we're gonna dive into the world of speed dating.
Oh, speed dating.
Speed dating, yeah. For some folks out there, I think speed dating might bring up images of like awkward silences and like that frantic bell ringing.
Yeah, but it's also a chance to like ditch the apps,
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah.
meet people face to face.
Right, exactly. Get off the apps and actually like meet a real person in the real world.
Yeah.
And who better to guide us through this whole experience than Geneva Dickey, a seasoned matchmaker and the speed dating host from Book of Love Canada. Her YouTube video, What to Expect at a Speed Dating Event, is a really great resource for, well, anyone who's even a little bit curious about speed dating.
It is. It kind of is like a social experiment in a way, right? Like you strip away all the like the fluff and you just get down to like those first impressions.
That's like a pressure cooker for connection.
Yeah.
So before we get into like the nitty-gritty of speed dating,
Yeah.
maybe we should just kind of address what exactly speed dating is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've heard the term, but I don't know if I could really explain it to someone.
So Geneva, like right off the bat, clarifies that you can think of it as like a series of mini dates, right? All crammed into one evening.
Yeah.
You get to chat with a bunch of like eligible singles for a set amount of time, and then boom, the bell rings. On to the next.
Okay, so there's a bell involved.
There's a bell. Yes.
That's something that's a detail I wasn't aware of, but it makes sense. You got to,
Mm.
keep things moving. Otherwise, you might be stuck with someone who's less than captivating
Exactly.
for, longer than you want.
And that brings us to one of Geneva's first like pieces of advice: what to wear. Right.
Okay.
And some people might be thinking, why does it matter what I wear? It's only a few minutes of chit chat.
Right, exactly. Well, you know me, fashion is my weakness. But yeah, what's the logic behind putting effort into your appearance for speed dating?
So you have to think about it this way. Those first few minutes are all about making an impression, right? And our brains, we make these like really fast judgments based on like visual cues.
Right?
She highlights there's different tips for men and women
Okay.
because they're going to be moving differently throughout the night.
Interesting. Okay, so spill the tea. What does Geneva recommend?
So for the ladies, she says, go all out. You're going to be seated the whole time. So, maybe you've got those like fabulous heels that you love, but they kill your feet.
Yeah.
This is their time to shine,
Yeah.
and because you're not going to be like bouncing around, you can dress up a little bit more than you usually would.
It's like a mini fashion show where you're the star.
Exactly. And now for the gentleman, she recommends like looking sharp, but staying comfortable. So a nicely pressed outfit, like stylish but comfy shoes and well-groomed hair, because they're going to be doing all the rotating.
Right. So it's a delicate balance between making a statement and not feeling like you're about to, run a marathon.
Yeah, comfort is actually like a key element of confidence, and
Yeah.
confidence is super attractive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're fidgeting with your clothes or, just feeling self-conscious about what you're wearing,
Yeah.
it's going to show.
Yeah.
And you don't want like the first impression to be overshadowed by that.
Now, before we get to those like heart racing moments of the speed dating, Geneva talks about something that can really make or break the experience, and that is the fear of cancellation.
Oh, okay.
So what if you get all like dolled up,
Yeah.
you show up ready to mingle,
Right.
and nobody's there?
Oh, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing? Does that actually happen often?
Geneva actually addresses that in the video.
Yeah.
She says cancellations due to low attendance are actually quite rare, especially at reputable events like the ones that Book of Love Canada puts on.
Yeah.
So they have their finger on the pulse of the singles scene,
Right.
and they know how to attract a crowd.
So no need to stress about like showing up to an empty room.
Exactly. Walk in with confidence, knowing that the event is likely to be buzzing with other singles
Okay.
who are just as eager to connect as you are.
That's a huge relief. All right, so let's say we've overcome the fear of cancellation. We arrive at the venue, looking our best, feeling confident. What happens next? Does everyone just stand around awkwardly waiting for the bell to ring?
Not quite. Geneva describes the arrival process as super welcoming. So you're greeted by a friendly host who will kind of put you at ease and guide you through those initial steps.
Okay, so it's not just being thrown to the wolves. There's like a little bit of hand-holding involved.
Absolutely. And for the ladies, it's even more relaxed. So They'll be shown to their table, which will be their home base for the evening. There's a welcome package waiting, which has like a name tag and maybe a drink ticket if you're at like a bar or restaurant.
Oh, okay. So the ladies get to like settle in and kind of let the gentleman come to
Yes.
them. I like that. That seems very courteous.
It does, doesn't it? Now, for the gentlemen, it's a little bit more of a nomadic experience.
Okay.
So they'll hand over their jacket, grab their welcome package, and then it's time to start mingling.
Ah, so that's where that pre-event mingling that we were talking about comes into play.
Exactly. Remember, Geneva's advice was to chat with like both men and women during this time. So you just loosen up, practice those conversation skills, and maybe even spot someone who catches your eye before the speed dating frenzy begins.
Okay, so the pre-event mingling is in full swing. Everyone is getting comfortable. What happens next? How does the actual speed dating begin?
Well, imagine this. You're sipping your drink.
Okay.
You're chatting with someone new, and suddenly you hear a bell. That's the matchmaker's signal the game is on.
Cue the butterflies.
Each mini date lasts between 5 and 7 minutes, depending on how many people are there.
Okay.
And Geneva points out it can feel both incredibly fast
Oh, I bet.
and surprisingly slow,
Yeah.
depending on who you're with.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's like, it really is like a social experiment where you're just like constantly recalibrating your expectations with each person that you meet.
Yeah.
Like, what do you even talk about with someone for 5 minutes? I mean, do you just dive deep into your life story or do you keep it really surface level?
That's where, the art of the speed dating conversation comes in, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely delve deeper into that in a bit. But for now, let's talk about one of Geneva's secret weapons for navigating this whirlwind of encounters, and that is the scorecard.
Oh, a scorecard. Okay, so is this like a grading system for potential love interests? Do we get to give them stars for personality and deduct points for bad jokes?
Not quite.
Okay.
But it is a pretty brilliant tool. So Geneva emphasizes that after each mini date, and before the gentlemen move on to the next table, it's crucial to jot down some notes about the person that you just met.
Yeah, that makes sense because I can totally see myself, after 3 or 4 of these mini dates, just like getting the names and faces all mixed up. It's like information overload.
It is.
So what kind of notes are we talking about here? Like love poems,
Yeah.
detailed psychological profiles? What are we writing down?
Nothing quite that elaborate. Geneva recommends using the scorecard to record those crucial, memory triggers.
Okay.
So anything that stood out about that person. So the scorecard, there's usually 3 columns.
Okay.
You have yes, no, and notes.
So yes, meaning you want to see them again, no meeting next. And then the notes are just for like those little things that might help spark your memory.
Exactly. Think of it as like a cheat sheet for your love life.
I love that. Okay, so the first round of mini dates is complete. Scorecards are filled out. Hearts are probably racing. What happens next? Do we get a break to process all this information overload?
We do. So Geneva says there's usually a halfway break that lasts about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And this is your chance to review your scorecard, freshen up, grab another drink, maybe even chat with your friends if you came with any.
Oh, I bet the bathroom lines are epic during that break.
Yeah.
Everyone's in there like comparing notes, like who'd you meet?
I'm sure there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also a chance to just mentally reset
Okay.
and prepare for the next round of encounters.
Yeah.
Because it can be, it can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster.
Totally.
Be dating.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of roller coaster, let's talk about the second half of the event. Do the gentlemen just pick up where they left off? Or is there a new seating arrangement?
It varies depending on the event,
Okay.
but usually the organizers try and mix things up a bit.
Oh.
So you're not meeting the same people that you saw in the first round, which, keeps things fresh and exciting.
Yeah, that's good. I was picturing this awkward scenario where you're stuck talking to the same person twice in a row.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, find new things to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a relief.
Yeah.
So the second round begins, more mini dates, more scorecard, scribbling, and then finally the event comes to an end. What happens then? Do we get to find out right away if we have any matches?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
The anticipation builds a little bit.
Right.
So you hand in your scorecard and then you wait.
Okay, the suspense is killing me. How long do we have to wait to find out?
Geneva assures us
Okay.
that you'll receive an email with the results within 48 hours.
Okay, so no need to camp out by the mailbox, constantly refreshing.
Yeah.
Okay, 48 hours, I can handle that. But what if the email never comes? Do I just assume that, like, I struck out with everyone?
Geneva advises contacting the organizer
Okay.
if you don't receive an email within that time frame.
Yep.
Because it could have just gotten lost in the email abyss, or maybe there was like a technical glitch.
Right.
But the good news is you should get an email unless you marked no to every single person.
Ouch. All right. Well, let's not dwell on that possibility.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the different match scenarios. What can people realistically expect going into this? Is everyone, like, walking away with a soulmate?
Well, as much as we'd love for that to be the case,
Yeah.
Leneva breaks it down based on, her years of experience. On average, about 25% of attendees will get 0 matches.
Okay, so first things first. If you find yourself in the 0 matches category, don't despair.
Yeah, it's totally normal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're not worthy of, love or connection.
Right.
Remember, connection and compatibility are rare.
Yeah.
So it's a numbers game.
It's like finding a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah.
It might take a few tries.
Exactly.
But what about those who do get matches? What are the different levels of speed dating success?
So Geneva says that about 50% of attendees will get 1 to 2 matches.
Okay, so that's a pretty good success rate.
It is.
Yeah.
And it means that you made a positive impression on at least 1 or 2 people, which is great,
Right, it's a confidence booster.
It is.
And then there's, like, the speed dating superstars, the people that get, like, 2 or more matches.
Exactly.
They must be doing something right.
They're doing something right, and it's worth, paying attention to their strategies.
Totally.
But regardless of how many matches you get, the key takeaway from Geneva's advice is to take action.
Okay, tell me more. What kind of action?
So she emphasizes that, unlike online dating where you're starting from scratch,
Right.
with speed dating, you've already met face-to-face.
Yeah, you've had a chance to chat.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you felt even a spark with someone, push yourself to go on that second date.
Because why not? What do you have to lose at that point?
Exactly.
Plus, it's not like you have to come up with clever opening lines or spend hours, crafting the perfect online persona.
Yeah.
You've already kind of broken the ice.
Exactly. You already have a shared experience to talk about.
Right.
So that awkward getting to know you phase is a little less daunting.
Totally.
But before we get into like the post-speed dating etiquette and all that,
Okay.
let's rewind a little bit and talk about something that I've always wondered about. How do you make the most of those few precious minutes with each person?
Right.
Like, is there a secret formula for speed dating success?
Yeah, it's like you have to be like a master conversationalist,
Yeah.
mind reader,
Yeah.
a comedian, all rolled into one. Like it's a tall order for a 5-minute conversation.
It is.
So, Geneva, spill the tea.
Mhm.
What are like your top tips for navigating these mini dates like a pro?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of being present and engaged. So put your phone away, make eye contact, and really listen to what the other person is saying.
Yeah, it's like those basic rules of good conversation that we all know, but like sometimes we forget them, especially when you're in like a high pressure situation like that.
Exactly. And she also recommends asking open-ended questions. So that encourages the other person to share more about themselves.
Okay.
Like instead of just asking, what do you do? Try asking something like, what are you most passionate about in your work?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, because it gets them talking about something they actually, care about,
Right.
which makes the conversation more interesting for both of you.
Right. And Geneva also suggests incorporating a bit of humor. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a stand-up comedian or anything, but like a well-placed joke or a funny anecdote can really break the ice and create a more relaxed atmosphere.
Totally. Yeah, humor, I think, is a superpower in those situations.
Yeah.
It shows that you don't take yourself too seriously and you're comfortable with a bit of, lighthearted banter.
Exactly. And speaking of comfort, Geneva reminds us that it's okay to acknowledge the awkwardness. I mean, speed dating is a unique situation, so it's natural to feel a bit, flustered or out of your element.
So it's okay to be like, wow, this is kind of surreal, isn't it? Or, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous.
Absolutely. It shows you're human, and it can actually make you more relatable to the other person because, chances are they're probably feeling the same way. And here's another gem from Geneva. Don't be afraid to end a conversation if it's not clicking.
Wait, really? Is that allowed? I thought you had to, like, endure the 5 minutes no matter what.
Well, Geneva says that while it's important to be polite and respectful, you don't have to force a connection if it's not there. You can always politely excuse yourself and say something like, "It was lovely meeting you, but I think I'm going to mingle a bit more."
Okay, that's good to know.
Mm.
That gives you like a sense of control over the situation.
It does.
And I guess it also kind of frees you up to, connect with someone who you duo vibe with.
Exactly. And speaking of connecting, let's talk about what happens after the speed dating event. So let's say you get your email, drumroll please, and you have matches. What then?
All right, break it down for me.
So this is where Geneva's advice really shines. She emphasizes that, unlike online dating where you're starting from scratch, with speed dating you've already met face to face. You've had that initial interaction, so there's no need to waste time with endless texting or trying to craft the perfect online persona.
Right, you've already bypassed that awkward initial phase.
Exactly. So her advice is if you felt even a spark with someone, push yourself to go on that second date.
Because why not?
Yeah.
You've already invested the time and energy to go to the speed dating event, so, might as well see where things could lead.
Exactly. And remember, you already have a shared experience to talk about, so that awkward getting to know you phase is a little less daunting. You can talk about your favorite moments from the event, the people you met, or, even those hilarious awkward encounters.
Yeah, it's like you have a
Right.
built-in conversation starter. You do. So all in all, it sounds like speed dating can be a really fun and effective way to meet new people.
Absolutely. And hopefully this deep dive has demystified the process and maybe even inspired some of you to give it a try.
Speaking of trying new things, if all this talk about speed dating has sparked your interest in, exploring the world of connection, whether it's through speed dating or, any other avenue, we have a little challenge for you.
Ooh, I love a good challenge.
So it's called the Relationship Readiness Test, and it only takes 2 minutes. You can find a link in the description or caption below. It's a quick and insightful way to do a little self-discovery, regardless of whether you're actively seeking a relationship. And who knows? It might just give you that extra nudge to put yourself out there.
Sound like a great way to wrap up this deep dive.
It is. And as always, we encourage you to share this episode with your friends. Follow Unleash You for more fascinating deep dives into all sorts of topics. And most importantly, stay curious.
Until next time.